Mundaun is a first-person psychological horror game developed by Hidden Fields and published by MWM Interactive. Set in the mountains around Mundaun, it follows you, Curtin, as you travel through your hometown investigating the suspicious circumstances surrounding the death of your grandfather. Along the way, you'll encounter the rest of the inhabitants of the area and uncover not just the secret behind the death of your loved one, but the dark secret hiding behind the town. Tiny bit of tech babble at the beginning as I really want to get into talking about the game proper. The game visuals are stunning with the full pencil artwork. It can make it hard to see things at times in the dark areas of the game, so make sure you set the gamut just right or you're making things quite hard for yourself. There's a very simple set of controls. You have your usual movements, jump, crouch and attacks. No unarmed combat, but you do get a pike and a rifle later on. We'll talk more about the combat later. There's a short driving section which actually handles itself pretty well. The game is basically no UI, with you relying on the screen deteriorating as you take damage to let you know how close you are to the end. The sound design and the music are incredible and the voice acting is great. The level design is really well done and the puzzles are all pretty solid.
Estás a fazer como as ardens eles que chapeam. Io hai imblidau co che la ceghera sparta quai mond il mond plin in giù. Il clavau de tazza s'anfla, se s'enflava alla fin de quella senda. Quella via meine agli auto de posta.
So with the preliminary guff out of the way, let's get stuck in. It's games like Mundaun that really affirm my love for indie games in the way that they take such daring design choices. Here, one man, Michael Ziegler, has decided to completely do an entire game in pencil. Everything, from the landscapes to the models to the text to the fucking journal that doubles up as the status screen. Everything. In pencil. Which makes him insane. He spent 6 fucking years putting all this together. Do you know what your answer would be if you pitched this to a regular art studio? They'd tell you to go fuck yourself. This game is pure art in motion. There's just tons of little subtleties in the artwork everywhere you look. From all the incidental pictures and posters dotted around, all of which have their own little backstory, to faces hidden in various areas. Mundaun has so many layers to it that it almost feels criminal just to scull your way through the game as fast as you can. You really owe it to yourself to explore every nook and cranny of this game. The music and sound effects are absolutely perfect. It keeps the mood oppressive and haunting throughout, along with some very realistic incidental sounds that really make you feel like you're in a Swiss Alp. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd gone to the area in real life and just left a recorder outside. The voice acting is all excellent as well. The game is fully voiced in Romansh, a rare language spoken only in the small areas in the Swiss Alps. It's this level of attention to detail and extra effort that makes Mundaun so worth the money. But of course, all the great music, alpine sound effects and obscure languages in the world won't make a good game if it doesn't play well. And I'm happy to report that Mundaun does. It's a brilliant piece of game design. The levels are all well laid out to encourage exploration, but not so big that you're traipsing around the place for ages trying to get somewhere. All the little signs deliver just enough information for you to know where everything is. The flashback and story scenes don't derail the game flow, and they're all exceptionally well done. There's just so much packed into this tiny little game world, it's brilliant. The story is an investigation of the town inhabitants dealing with someone who may or may not be the devil. Either way, in Mundaun, you'll encounter probably one of the better written and more menacing antagonists in gaming. Think of how right The Witcher 3 got Gonter Dim, and you're on the right track. All the other townsfolk are all their own levels of exceptionally weird, but it's so well done that it doesn't feel like they're being weird just for the sake of the story. It feels natural and organic. Even better is how the camera view slowly zooms in on any point of interest. This is really well done. Rather than have a button assigned to it, it occurs itself when you look at something, and the zooms aren't a pre-recorded event, meaning that they can be broken away at any time. Through this method, they don't break the game flow, and since only something spooky happens some of the time, it keeps you on edge whenever the screen decides to start zooming in. But you don't have to if you don't want to, which I love. Most games would force this mechanic onto their players, but in Mundaun, it grows on you over the course of the game. Or it doesn't, and it adds to the tension. Either way, it's a win. It's brilliant.
Meu zop vegl, gise nots hai passentau in cheu, durant il temps che ho tirtat, senta la mort de mes geniturs. E ha passentau gise la leunga per inflar ils drets crabs. Sil meins aschia sai eu schara viver els.
It's not all perfect, unfortunately. The combat is jank personified. Most of the time you're not even sure if you're loading up a hit, and judging the distance is a futile enterprise. Also, the ragdoll effects of the enemies can be quite funny to watch, which isn't really something that you want from a horror game. Things don't get much better when you get the rifle either. A lot of the difficulty in the combat can be hand-waved by the player character not being a trained fighter, but there's moments that are clear bugs throughout. You could of course just run past and dodge the enemies, but they can slow your movement to a crawl when they see you, so the running for a tactic isn't up to much here. As most of your enemies are made of straw, there's always the option of burning them alive using the very deliberately paced hail bays, and then legging it when they get nice and crispy. There's also an achievement for running through the game without harming any enemies if you're into that. In any case, buy this game. These are the types of games that need to be supported if games are truly to ascend to a proper art form. Rich, deep, interesting games made by a bunch of mad geniuses. It's not perfect, the sepia tone can make it difficult to make things out, and the combat system needs a whole lot more work to eliminate the jank, but outside of these piffling niggles, this game is close to as perfect as one person with a pencil, a dream, and an unbelievable amount of determination can get. And that's pretty damn close to perfect.